All right. Well, I just want to welcome everybody today for coming to this information session. My name is Sarah Witmer, and I'm the Community Impact Lead here at Kitchener-Waterloo Community Foundation. It's also referred to as KWCF. I'm very excited to talk to you about a new fund that has been launched to support the sustainability and recovery initiatives of organizations serving Black, Indigenous, and people of color in Waterloo Region. The COVID-19 BIPOC Stabilization and Recovery Fund is a pilot initiative for us. But before I get into that, I would like to take some time to do a territorial acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe and Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements, and their contributions to the community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples in Canada. Before I get into the agenda, I wanted to share why KWCF has set up this fund. We know that Black, Indigenous, and people of color from across Waterloo Region have been disproportionately affected by COVID-19. KWCF felt it was important to direct some of the funds we set aside for recovery from COVID-19 specifically to assist BIPOC members of our community. The launch of a COVID-19 BIPOC Stabilization and Recovery Fund is part of a broader approach by KWCF to support BIPOC individuals and communities across Waterloo Region. This aligns with our mission, vision, and values, particularly our value of inclusivity in terms of standing for the elimination of diversity and approaching our work with an equity mindset and focus on outcomes to deal with disproportionality and disparity. This fund has been set up as a pilot, and we are fortunate to have a group of volunteers set up to assist us in designing the guidelines, the application, and helping us make funding decisions. We felt it was important for this fund to be BIPOC-led and have been actively listening to and acting on their suggestions. So I'm just going to get to the agenda. If I could, there we go. So what we're going to talk about today are what the grants are for, how much you can apply for, what organizations are eligible, sample application questions, what is a fiscal sponsor, funding examples, the timeline, and time for lots of questions because we know you will have questions and we're here to answer them. So let's get into what the grants are for. The grants are for BIPOC communities disproportionately affected by inequalities that have been deepened by COVID-19 to support organizations serving Black, Indigenous, people of color in Waterloo Region and organizations including grassroots organizations. It is also for the sustainability and recovery system specifically linked to COVID-19. So what does all that mean? It means that we are here to try and support the communities who have been affected by COVID-19 in a way that will help bring up people, help people out of this. And so if your organization or grassroots organization is serving these populations, we want to be able to support you. This could be recreational supports for within the community for children and youth. It could be help with homework to get caught up from the difficulties of school, the school season. It could be mental health supports for the community that you're serving. We recognize that people have been disproportionately affected and we want to make sure that we can be there to support you in this. So how much can you apply for? We have approximately $150,000 in total available funding. Grants can be up to $15,000. We recognize that you may just want to shoot for the moon and ask for that $15,000, but there will probably be quite a few organizations who are applying for that amount. We may have to grant a portion of what you're asking for, so just be aware of that, that we probably will ask, we will be asking for the minimum that you need in order to continue on with this application. So you can apply from anywhere from $500 to $15,000, whatever you think that you need, and we're happy to work with you with that. So what organizations are eligible? So your organization is located within Waterloo Region. You support Black, Indigenous, people of color who live in Waterloo Region So that means the 3 cities or the 4 townships. It is BIPOC led. So your organization is BIPOC led, or you're an organization that serves BIPOC members of our community, and the initiative you are applying for is led by a BIPOC person, and you are supporting them in this work. So that is very important. The committee would really like to see that the person who is leading this initiative is a member of the BIPOC community. This is a sustainability and recovery fund, so it is not for new organizations. So we would like to see that your organization has been established since January 2019 or before. It is for registered charitable organizations or qualified donees under CRA guidelines. If you would like to know if you are a registered charity or qualified donee, there is a link on our website that can bring you to that. I can also share it later when we are doing the question and answers. I can share that link with you. Also, we are supporting registered not-for-profit organizations or grassroots organizations with a fiscal sponsor, and we'll provide more information on that qualification in the next slide. So what is a fiscal sponsor? So if you are not a registered charity, this is a question that I get asked often on the phone on how do you obtain fiscal sponsorships and what is it, what does it entail? So we do have a page on our website that explains fiscal sponsorship. It means that you're not a qualified donee under CRA guidelines. So you are not a charity or one of the other entities that are considered a qualified donee, because KWCF can only grant to a qualified donee under the rules that we are governed by under CRA, Canada Revenue Agency. So as such, if you are a registered not-for-profit or a grassroots organization, you will need to obtain a fiscal sponsor. So a fiscal sponsor is someone who is one of those qualified donees or registered charities who will accept the grant on behalf of your organization and work with you to deliver the programming that, or the grant that you've applied for. We want to also support grassroots organizations. And we know that grassroots organizations that are not qualified donees are doing important work and impactful work in the BIPOC communities across Waterloo region. Many of you may not have access to a fiscal sponsor, or you may not want to work with one. We still want to hear from you and want you to apply. Please let us know what you are doing in the community and the impact it will have. Then I will contact you to discuss your application. We wouldn't be able to provide you with a grant because as a foundation, we have to follow CRA guidelines, but we do have some resources and we might be able to fund your initiative still. So let's talk about how we can work together on that. And if you have any more questions about fiscal sponsorship, I'm happy to walk you through that. But the application will ask you questions on, do you have a fiscal sponsor? And then you can provide that information, or if not, then it will say we want to continue on with the application, and then I will reach out to you. So funding examples. So funding examples can be people costs, materials, supplies, equipment purchase, rental, lease, and maintenance, administration costs, technology costs, printing and communications, including marketing, community outreach and engagement, adapting current programming, or launching a new program or initiative in response to COVID-19. So that kind of seems like a lot of stuff, which is good. We want to see, we want you to go to, like, you can look at our grant guidelines that are online to see some of these again, and what does not qualify, some funding examples that would not qualify. However, we want to see things that are adapting to initiatives to the things that, sorry, one more time. We would love to see things if you have to adapt to an online environment, because COVID-19 has caused you not to be able to meet in person. A new program to assist BIPOC individuals with mental health supports, food security for families, helping continue good programs that you are delivering within the community you serve. So it could be anything that you are trying to continue that you need to adapt due to COVID-19, or it could be in order to sustain your programming the people costs and administration costs that you've endured because you've had lots of revenue within your organization. So we recognize that there has been a lot of impacts that have happened due to COVID-19, and we want to be able to support your organization through that. So some application questions. We just wanted to draw your attention to some of the questions that we'll be asking in the application, because these are some of the things that our committee felt were very important to be able to identify when you're answering these questions in the application. So we would love to know, how will the BIPOC individual who will be leading this initiative be supported in your organization? This is specifically for an application from an organization who is not led at the leadership level by a BIPOC member, but someone from within your organization is leading the initiative that you're applying for. And we want to know, how are they being supported by the leadership within the organization? That's with either writing the application, delivering the program, helping with the evaluation, all of the things that the supports that they may need. We want to know, how are they being uplifted within your organization? How will the community you serve benefit from this initiative? That's kind of self-explanatory, but we would love to know that this application will have an impact on the community that you support. How does this address a need caused by COVID-19? So I've given a few examples as to what things could be, but you know best, and you're the ones who are able to tell us, we have seen this happen because of COVID-19, and we want to hear how what you're doing is going to address that need and the impact that you will have. Also, we will give priority to funding organizations that value and embody the concept, nothing about us without us, within your organization's structure and programming. This includes how the people you are seeking to serve or provide programming for are included in decision-making, delivery, and or measurement of your initiatives. Please explain how you do this at your organization. It is really important for us to know that the application you are submitting has been vetted by the people around you who it is going to be serving. We want to know that the people's voices, who this is for, have been listened to and have been acted on. So please take this. Please take into consideration when you're answering this question, how you have interacted with the members of your community that you're trying to serve and best meet the needs that they are having in this particular moment in time. Timelines. So this has been a very fun and fast-paced time in our lives, as we can all imagine. So the applications already opened last week on Wednesday, October 28th. The applications are going to close on November 18th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're basically all in Eastern Standard Time. Funding and the decisions and funding will be distributed in December of 2020. You will have a year to complete the initiative that you have sought funding for. And so you need to be able to spend that funding by December 31st, 2021. And then after that, we will ask for an evaluation a month after the completion of this initiative. So January 31st, 2022, that seems like a long time from now, but it comes up quickly. And so when it comes to the evaluation, we will be there to, we want to know how this funding helped our community. If you get a grant, we will need to complete a short grant evaluation that tells us how you use the funds and the impact you had. There will be a template and assistance if you have any questions during the time of writing the evaluation. So please don't let that be a hindrance to anything that you wanting to apply. We want to know how everything went and what were the impacts that you had on the community that you served. So we have had some great support from our community, and one of our fund holders, Green Shield Canada, has actually donated funding to support this grant stream. We are very thankful for their contribution. furthermore, we actually reached out to our fund holders at KWCF in the spring when COVID-19 hit. And we said, would you like to be part of the recovery efforts that we are having in the fall from KWCF to the community? And the number of our fund holders have stepped up to the plate and said, yes, we would like to support that, and provided their granting dollars this year for this fund. So we are very, very thankful for that. Okay, question and answers. So now is the time, and if you don't have any questions, it means I did a good job. But if you do, this is the time. We would love to hear what you have to, any questions you may have. My colleague Lynn Short is also on this webinar, and if I have said to her, if I miss anything, miss any key pieces of information and any questions that you may have, she's just going to jump on quickly and help provide some more guidance. But if you, I can just wait for any questions that you have, and then I'll start answering them. Oh, there's Lynn. Oh.
So I do just want to jump in with two really, really quick things. Thanks for sharing all of that, Sarah. The two really quick things I want to jump in and say is when you did the intro, there was just one word that you accidentally, so we stand for the elimination of discrimination. You actually said we stand for the elimination of diversity. And I just wanted to very much clarify that our value is about standing for the elimination of discrimination. So I thought it was I thought the group would know that, but I just wanted to make sure that we specifically said it. The other thing I wanted to share that you just didn't get a chance to share is we actually recruited volunteers from across the community that represent Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And they helped us establish the guidelines and the application, all of the different criteria that are in the guidelines and the apps that you see. And those people will also be helping us review the template for the evaluation, as well as helping us review and make decisions on the funds. So what we're very much trying to support the concept of those that are closer to the community or more involved in making those decisions. And that's part of this pilot as well, for us to determine how to move this work forward. So they were just two small pieces, but I thought the group on the call might be interested in knowing those pieces. Thank you, Lynn. You're doing a great job, Sarah.
So Jackie, you have a question. Can a sponsor host more than one applicant? So a sponsor can host more than one applicant if they are not applying themselves. So if you are a qualified donee under CRA guidelines, you may apply for one grant and you may sponsor up to one application. If you are not applying yourselves, then you may sponsor more than one application. We're hoping it's not like 10 applications, but we would understand that there may be a couple or a few that you may want to help facilitate within our community. Great question. There doesn't seem to be many questions. Maybe we covered a lot of stuff. That's good.
So I have a question.
Oh, great.
I would love it if those of you that are participating, if you could let us know how you heard about this fund, and if there is, if we should be sharing it more broadly in other areas as well. We're happy to do that as well as part of this pilot. So I just mentioned that as well in terms of questions.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Lynn. Also, Rainu, you asked a great question. In the application there, at the end, there are several tabs for additional support that you can provide. What kinds of things do you envision? So oftentimes when someone is submitting an application, they ask me, I have this extra document that I want you to see so that you understand what our program or what our organization or the work that we do. It would just help illuminate more about what it is that we're trying to accomplish. You are more than welcome to include that in that part of the application. If you have a letter of support, sometimes people want to provide that. This is not mandatory, by the way. It is very important that I tell you, at no point will we say that we have to have these. This is that optional field. If we are not asking a question that you feel we need to know the answer to in order to be able to fully understand what you're trying to do, this is that time. I have also seen people provide pictures because they think if we see what it is that you have done or the community that you were serving, we would have a better understanding of what important work that you were doing in the community. So I'll say this, the world is your oyster when it comes to that. There is no requirement that you have to submit anything, but it is there as a tool to help you communicate what it is that you're trying to accomplish with the committee who is reviewing the application. Thank you, Jackie. You saw the email and you shared it with your network, but the timeline is very short to attend the webinar. Yes, we understand that. We are recording this webinar so that it will be available online later this week or early next week. So we recognize that. Our committee said, hey, we should probably do an information session. This entire process has been very quick, so we realized we need to do this webinar earlier on in the application process versus later. That way we will be able to have some more support for you as you're going along through the application. You subscribe to, Liz said, I subscribe to the KWCF newsletter email list and receive the information about this grant from there. Thanks, Liz, for letting us know that. Rainu received an email from KWCF. Actually, it went to junk mail, but luckily she found it. That's great. I'm happy to hear that. Chauvin said, will you offer this fund in next year's cycle if we choose not to apply this year? That's a great question. So this is a pilot for us. We are actively working to see how we can best support the BIPOC community in the future. We are using this as a lens to see how the community is reacting to this grant stream, and if it is something that we need to adapt or continue on in the future. So it is not out of the question. It may look different, but it is something that we are actively looking into continuing. But I can't guarantee anything because we haven't set our granting streams for next year quite yet. But this is a pilot that we are looking to see how it's serving the community best, and it will definitely impact our decisions moving forward. Lynn said, totally agree. Jackie, thanks for the feedback. We want to do it early in order to record it for all to view, and then Sarah's available for one-on-one chats. Yes. So if you're watching this now and you weren't able to attend the webinar, please know that you may call me at any time. The number that is listed on the website is our office number. I will receive the voicemail and I usually call back within an hour. I'm pretty good at calling back pretty quickly. I recognize that when you call, it is time sensitive, so I will do my very best to call you as quickly as possible, and I am available to answer any of your questions to help you best describe the work that you were trying to do, so that the committee can understand the impact you're having. Thanks, Kathy Must. We just want to make sure that we are available for you in anything you may need. So I'm always doing that, and I love doing that. It's probably my favorite part of the job, is being able to assist you in the things that you may need when you're writing the application. Is there any more questions? So you will probably notice that the application is a bit shorter than our typical applications. We did that to try and make it easy for you to apply. If you have feedback along the way, we would love to hear that, actually. Please send me an email. My email is Sarah, I'm gonna write it down here. It's sarah@kwcf.ca. And if you think that there's another question that we should be asking, or a question that shouldn't be asked, or in a different way, please let us know, because we are always open to feedback, and it definitely impacts the way that we do future granting. A lot of our grant streams are in a response to the community and how they have talked to us about the needs that are happening, and we just want you to know that we do actively listen, and act upon the advice that we've received from the community. Just checking to see if there's any more questions. Well, Lynn, do you have any more questions before we sign off?
I don't think so. Thanks everybody for attending. If you think of anything, you can reach out to Sarah. Hopefully you've got the information you need to apply to the fund, and we're a phone call or an email away. Hope everybody has a great day. Thanks all.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Really appreciate your time today.